I know what you're thinking. Kev, that's not your normal background. Why are you recording this in a strange room? Because I'm on holiday at the moment in Great Yarmouth, and Football Manager, in their infinite wisdom, have decided this would be a good time to drop more feature information. So I haven't looked at it yet. We're going to have a look through the feature stuff together. One thing is for sure, though, this is going to be the best Football Manager video ever made in Great Yarmouth. And here we go on the Football Manager website, and we've got this. I mean, I've seen the roadmap before, but this is quite snazzy. The what's new in FM24. But let's go into the deep dive and see what they said. I don't think there's a video. I did look around before I started recording to see if there was a video, and I don't think there is. If there is, I'm an idiot and I didn't look properly, but I think it is just a blog post. So we're going to read through this together, and then I'll give you my reactions on what I see as I'm reading it. So smarter transfer, squad building and finance, which by the way is definitely something that has been overdue in Football Manager. So I'm just going to read it teacher style. And if you enjoy my reading, maybe you could repay me by pre-ordering Football Manager using discount code LOLLUJO at Fanatical. Link is at the top of the description below. That would go a long way towards supporting the channel and making me feel more comfortable about using an evening on my holiday to read from an iPad while Anna sits quietly over the other side of the room with her headphones on, pretending she can't hear me. So, our continued drive to mirror developments in the real football world make Football Manager 2024 the most complete edition in the series yet. Good. Lovely, lovely good. Two areas where we've worked extensively that powerfully reflect this are recruitment and finance, and they're very much intertwined. On the recruitment front, we've significantly improved the decision-making and team selection capabilities of AI managers. You'll also see that your game world better reflects the current trends of the real-life transfer market. We have been crying out for this stuff. It's not just recruitment that's been made smarter though. We've also put vast work into upgrading the in-game finance system to ensure there's greater dynamism. Is that a word? And volatility in every career. We get a nice little graphic and a headline. Brace for more transfer battles. Oh, I want it to be harder to sign players. The global transfer market is continuously evolving, and the most recent transfer window is unprecedented in several ways. You're telling me. As a result of these recent global developments, heavy hints towards the Saudi League being in. I don't know if they confirm that later on in here, but how can you redo the transfer system based on what's happening in real life and not include the Saudi League? That seems mad. As a result of these recent global developments, we've made some wider coding changes for FM24 to try and reflect those trends in every career. Firstly, to ensure that the way your rivals buy and sell players resonates with a clear identity, we've done a lot of work under the hood to improve the transfer market decision making. Smarter opposition recruitment is the order of the day for FM24, with AI managers now programmed to consider factors like form and reputation more so than ever before. I struggle to see how you could do that more. Form has always been a big thing. We've all had that thing in Football Manager where we've got a player who's not very good, but you sell them for £1 gazillion. I had it most recently in my world record stream. When we were managing Tottenham, I signed Hector Bellerin on a free transfer at the end of the second season just to troll the Spurs fans who were watching. He played like 8 games, but played quite well in those games, and we ended up selling him to Inter Milan for £40 million. That was definitely an example of form, and I guess reputation being taken into account, because looking at him, he wasn't good enough for Spurs, certainly not good enough for Inter. So I don't know if more of that is good. I'm going to be positive about all of this. I think more of that must be good. They know what they're doing. AI managers are now better geared up to recognise imbalances in their squad. Oh, thank God. Imbalances in the squad makeup, that is long overdue. How many times have you seen these squads way into the future that are just bonkers? And will take their tactical style into consideration much more when shortlisting players. So hopefully less of that buying players for 80 million and then not playing them nonsense that we see all too often. In essence, this means they'll look to fill attribute gaps in their squad. That is interesting. That's more than I do on my transfers. So a manager using a gegenpress approach will look specifically for midfielders with high stamina and work rate attributes if they determine that their squad is missing such a player. Again, this is more than I do. The AI is now smarter than me. I was warned AI would take over the world. Their approach will now place a stronger focus on a player's potential ability rather than their current ability when players are looking for backup or rotation options to an established first-team starter. That's interesting as well, because I think, again, that is something that is already in the game to an extent. Obviously, you get much more money for a player with a lot of potential than somebody who's just already quite good. But if we're getting even more focus on that, I guess that's going to make buying Wonder Kids harder, because you're going to be competing with the AI for them more. Would be my instinctive reaction to that. That improved logic also applies to outgoing transfers, with AI clubs now making much more considered and contextual decisions concerning loans for young players. So again, referencing back to my most recent save, the Tottenham one at Insomnia, it's probably unlikely I'm going to be able to take Evan Ferguson on loan and then make that loan permanent, despite the fact Brighton would quite like to keep him. There was no way we could have just signed him up front as a transfer, but we got around it by loaning him with a future fit. We're probably not going to be able to do that cheesiness anymore, which, I mean, that's a good thing. It's nice to be able to cheese those transfers when you can find a way to cheese them, but ultimately we want the game to be more realistic, more of a simulation, so I guess that's a good thing. It's going to fit, the transfer market will feel less unfair as a result of these changes, I think. If it was felt that a player was lacking in terms of physicality, the club would try to facilitate a move to a more physical team to improve the aspect of their players' development. That is interesting. If the manager AI is genuinely going to be that smart, I am impressed. Ultimately, this suite of changes means that your opponents will make more informed, reactive squad building decisions. It means you'll face more competition in the transfer market, we already said that, and that when your rivals make mistakes, they'll feel more authentic and realistic. That is good. Good stuff. Maybe the days of us getting to the end of a save, leaving the club, doing the 5 years later, and it just being a mess after 5 years, maybe those days are coming to an end. I won't say they're over yet, but maybe they're coming to an end. We then have another heading, variations to player development. So to complement the changing recruitment decisions of your opposition managers, there are some upgrades to the way your rivals pick their matchday squads. Okay. Previously, AI teams were less likely to pick youth prospects in the first team because they had low current ability scores. We've all seen examples of that, just young players not getting developed. Now, those talents have a higher probability of being on the bench and will see more playing time when teams are ahead or controlling games in the latter stages. That's good. That's really good. We've also worked on how the AI prioritise matches throughout the season, which should see improved rotation to help aid player development. Again, very positive stuff. Elsewhere, we've also made a few tweaks to player development. Some will see an accelerated improvement in their teenage years before hitting their potential ceiling earlier on. Meanwhile, a new system has been introduced to recognise late developers, or those players who don't break through until slightly later than would be considered typical. So are we losing the hard sell at age 23 thing that's been in there for years? It'll be interesting to see if we can get the Jamie Vardy situation. What I've wanted to see in Football Manager for years is that kind of thing being possible. I want players who maybe when they're teenagers look like they're not going to make it, don't look very good, drop down the leagues and then make their way back up again later. That's always been a thing that's been missing from Football Manager. And if they've figured out a way to put that in by maybe making them just develop a little bit later, that is a huge positive, because it's been missing for years and I've talked about wanting that before. The other aspects of transfers we've made amends to is in-game transfer histories. Here we've upgraded the user interface and giving you the ability to filter league transfer histories by ins and outs. That's just like quality of life stuff, which is always welcome. Then we move on to balancing the books. Connected to these transfer market changes, we've also made several upgrades to the finances system for Football Manager 2024 to better reflect the way it works in modern football. Across the game, we've added a number of news items and improved some existing ones to provide you with greater clarity on your income and expenditure throughout the season. You'll also notice that key financial information is surfaced more clearly when you need it. In certain instances where you've... excuse me. In certain instances where you've overspent your available funds... would never be me... You'll notice that we've incorporated negative transfer budgets. I noticed these in FM23. I managed to achieve them. I managed to achieve these quite a few times this year. If you go into the red, you'll receive an inbox item that informs you that you need to either sell players or transfer clauses in order to generate fresh income. That wasn't in there currently. So there's been a few times when I've had negative, in the home save that we're doing at the moment, there's been several times we've ended up with a negative transfer budget. What we haven't ever had is any real consequences to that happening. So consequences, although to be fair, if the consequences only go as far as an inbox message, kind of who cares? But if that then ties into stuff like club vision and that kind of thing, if I could get sacked for not following instructions when it comes to negative transfer budgets, that will make me behave myself a little bit more, which again, it's only a good thing. Examples and candidates for both are included in the inbox item. Okay, so if you've got to sell some players or some clauses, it will suggest who you could sell to balance the books or what clauses you could sell. That's good, as is a clear indication of how much money you need to recoup before you've got a positive budget again. If you're unable to, there's consequences. If you're unable to generate enough money within the agreed time period, your board will take control of your budget and begin to sell your players. Wowzers. The control will then be relinquished back to you when either the cash has been raised or the transfer window is closed. That is both terrifying and quite awesome and a really cool new feature. Should you take over at a club that's got a negative transfer budget, you'll face a more challenging start in the dugout. So you could potentially arrive at a club and not be in control of transfers yourself because the previous guy was a cretin. That's awesome. Navigating further financial fair play there's more financial fair play integration. So there are also a number of upgrades to the financial fair play system for FM24, as well as other nation-specific financial rules. Should a club, if they've managed to figure out a way to do the Barcelona situation properly in-game, awesome, because I mean, you saw it with my Man City save this year. There's only so far you can go with this kind of thing, trying to put FFP sanctions and things like that in, and clubs kind of just automatically recover. If they've taken out the bit where the clubs automatically recover, and again, we're looking for consequences here. I'm all for finding ways to bend the rules of the game to do well at it. But if there's more consequences that make it not worth bending it, then you've got a real decision to make. At the moment, a lot of the time, I mean, you've all seen me do these saves where I just throw everything on the never, never, and it doesn't really matter. If they're making it so that it matters, that's an added layer of difficulty that is long overdue, because as much as I enjoy winning, I am kind of fed up of always winning all the time. And it'd be quite nice to have that in as an extra layer of making things a little bit more challenging. So, should a club breach FFP rules in game, there are now new sanctions in place, including squad size and transfer spending restrictions, as well as fines and competition income being withheld. Wowzers. If your club is close to breaching the rules, there'll be a note in the finances menu to explain that your wage budget is locked. This is gonna get hard. You'll now notice that when a club is placed into administration, you'll receive a new news item that shows their net debt, profit and loss graphs, overall expenditure and overall income. Fingers crossed, as part of this, they've fixed that kind of stuff, because the finances in FM have been broken and nonsensical for a long time. So I hope, as well as showing us more of this, they've actually fixed the stuff that's under the hood, because for a lot of the time, the income and expenditure graphs and all that, the profit, most of that is nonsense most of the time in FM at the moment. So hopefully that's been fixed as part of this. Should your club go into administration, chance would be a fine thing. When does that ever happen? But should your club go into administration, you'll be notified that transfer funds have been withdrawn and that the administrators will listen to and consider any reasonable transfer offers that are made for your players. If you're unable to meet player wages, the Players Association will step in and you'll be under a transfer embargo until that money has been repaid. So until you've repaid the money to the Players Association is how I'm interpreting that. A club can also now enter into a company voluntary agreement, a government bond that allows an insolvent company to pay off their creditors over a fixed period while they continue to operate. I mean, CVAs were in the game previously because I gave Man City one as part of the Man City save this year, but I did have to do it via the editor, so maybe that was something that previously couldn't happen just from normal gameplay, which is interesting that it was already in the game if you couldn't make it happen in the game unless it was in there at the start. So that's good. Good, more dynamic stuff. I like dynamic stuff. Talking of dynamic stuff, new and dynamic income streams. I really hope in the last year Sports Interactive have learned what the word dynamic means, because we all know the dynamic manager timeline. I hope they've learned the meaning of this word. It's not just expenditure where we've made changes. Now there's a greater fluctuation in the income your club receives, thereby creating more dynamism and intrigue in every career. I'm up for intrigue, love a bit of intrigue, me. Indeed, You'll now see we've included fixed length TV deals. Okay. Were they not before? The news items indicating these show changes in deals. Okay, I see what this means. So the news items indicating these show changes in a deal's value and what percentage effect that has on competition prize money for the seasons the new agreement covers. So like at the moment, the Premier League money is the Premier League money and it doesn't change no matter how long you're in a save for. So this is saying that after X number of years, that Premier League deal will be renewed and theoretically could go up or down, which could then lead to another league surpassing it and becoming the big league. And that's cool. That is really cool. People have been asking for this kind of stuff for a long time. Elsewhere, there are new news items providing contextual information on parachute payments and details on how your ticket prices and sponsorships have changed based on whether you've been promoted or relegated. There's also a new season tickets league table. Goody, located in the, who cares? Located in the, I mean, any new features are good new features, right? There's also a new season tickets league table located in the competition overview drop down, which shows the clubs in order of tickets sold and revenue recouped. If nothing else, that's another way for me to use it as an excuse to show why I'm being hard done by. So that's fine. This greater information is all designed to improve the clarity of how finances work in-game. And please tell me you fixed how they work in-game too. Less money will now be described as general or other. Thank goodness, in the finances menu, and committed spend calculations for future transfers have been improved. No, don't take the never off of me. Additionally, loan income and expenditure are now listed as separate from permanent deal income and expenditure. Interesting. For clubs in the lower divisions, they'll now turn professional at the point of promotion rather than at the end of the season. Again, I feel like that already happens. I think Home went professional when we secured promotion because I think we signed players before the end of that season. Maybe some of this kind of snuck into a late patch of FM23, but now it's a new feature because I'm sure that already happened with Home. Conversely, there'll also be more discernible sporting and financial setbacks from not switching back from professional to semi-professional following relegation in the lower divisions. So you can't just go up, turn pro, go back down again, storm the league, by the sounds of it. And then we have this final little section, our most intelligent market yet. So the upgrades to AI squad building and the finances system dramatically level up the immersion in FM24, adding greater variety, dynamism, and competition to every career. In the coming weeks, blah, 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 blah. What I've not seen there, which I'm a little bit surprised, disappointed, maybe. I think it's coming next week. Okay, don't worry about it. I was going to say what I was hoping for as part of the changes to transfers was having transfers start to work the way they do in real life, with players agreeing terms before clubs have agreed terms, stronger role of agents, that kind of thing. It looks like that actually comes in next week under introducing intermediaries and offloading players. So we've got, hang on, that's still, so there's going to be another one this week. That's this week still. Introducing intermediaries and offloading players unlocks week commencing September 18th. That's this week. I'm going to have to do a second one of these videos from this caravan. And then next week, we've got those next three bits. Okay, I can cope with all that. Yeah, well, interesting. All positive stuff. Hopefully it works. What it sounds like is the thing that upsets the comments section the most about how I play Football Manager at the moment looks like it's been taken away. So there's going to be no more abusing the never and doing installments that apparently never happen in real life. I mean, we all know they happen in real life. Football Managers know they happen in real life, but it looks like there's actually now going to be proper consequences to our finances to me doing stuff the way it happens in real life. So the days of me being able to spend £1 billion on a £200 million budget might be over. But where there's a will, there's a way, and we'll try and figure out what we can do. But that is it for this look at today's announcements. Like I say, it looks like there's More announcements coming later in the week, so there might be another one of these videos popping up in a day or two, depending on what day it comes out. It will depend whether I'm at home or not. I'm here recording videos for my vlog channel at the moment, so I'm here for at least the next couple of days. But if you have enjoyed this one, or if you just want to support the channel, the link, like I say before, to pre-order FM24 is at the top of the description below. Please use code LOLLUJO at Fanatical. You get the game for £35 or 5p, cheaper than Steam, cheaper than Epic, gets you the beta, and supports the channel. And, you know, maybe this time next year, I'll be able to do this video from a slightly nicer caravan if enough of you use my link. Leave a thumbs up on the video on your way out if you have enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel for all the breaking news. I want to say as it happens, but this happened hours ago and I was at the beach. So sort of as it happens. And obviously FM24 videos will drop as soon as the game is out as well. And thank you very much for watching.